Tim picked us up from the ferry and then let us camp out in his beautiful property, and then just dropped us back at the ferry. And we're getting started walking along the shore of Whidbey Island. I'm enjoying the last few sections we have walking alongside the ocean because I know pretty soon we'll be away from it altogether. We had lunch down on the shore and then climbed a bluff and then turned onto a road that took us further inland on Whidbey Island. We had to follow public roads around the naval base because they don't like people walking on their beach. On either side of the road we were confined to private land, but the people along it were pretty nice. Not much to it really, just walking on the road to get across Whidbey Island. A lot of the miles we covered down there on the beach, but I think we got bluffed out. So now we're walking on the road right beside the beach, and pretty soon we're going to be turning east to walk across the rest of the island and then get back onto the mainland tomorrow or the day after. It's getting to be the end of the day and we're nearly at 20 miles. There was a gas station along the road that we're walking, so we stopped for snacks, let my feet dry out, and then we're going to keep walking, and we're going to have to knock someone's door to get permission to camp tonight. Once again though, Dottie got in touch with somebody through Facebook who's hosted a bunch of other hikers before, and she offered to come and pick us up. So not long after the gas station, maybe 3 or 4 miles, we found ourselves on the side of the road waiting for her to come scoop us up and take her back to her place where we spent the rest of the night. You know who taught me that?
Teacher?
No, my dad. He was always taking pictures of stuff when it seemed like
Normal?
it seemed like, oh, this is life, you know? And you don't take a picture of it because it happens every day.
Yeah.
But my dad would take pictures of all those moments. It was like ordinary moments. Rebecca and John hosted us that night over at their place, which they call the Happy House. Just like the night before, we had a place to do laundry, some place to sleep, and a shower. We're really getting pampered out here. They've been hosting people for a while, and one of the guys they hosted was fairly early on in the trail. And this is a trail with bushwhacking, but he was hiking with a group of other guys. And then when they got to his house, his pants were all shredded up and his trekking pole was bent. And he's like, what'd you guys think of that bushwhack? And they're like, there was no bushwhack. And it turns out he was just walking through some woods, like 50 feet from where the trail was. And now it's just after 7 and we're already starting to make some miles on the road. How's this road walk going for you?
It's fine. It's a lot quicker than trail. Yeah, it's fine. Bit boring.
Wow. They were doing some road work. They had the little flagger guy, stop, slow, that guy. We walked past them, kind of into a state park, back out onto the road. We're in a different state park now, and we're coming up to Deception Pass, which is this little waterway between 2 islands, and we're crossing the bridge from this island to the next. And we've still got a little bit of a ways to go near the sea before we're free and clear of it. These things are the enemy of my pack weight, and they're all over the place. Little libraries, I know you know what they are, but they got all these snazzy books. What is this, an adding machine?
Kindle? No way.
Yeah, somebody put a Kindle in there. These things are the enemy of my pack weight. I might snag that, honestly. I was on the North Country Trail and I found one of the most influential books in my life called 30 Days to Eucharistic Glory in one of these things. And I've also picked up a lot of other junk from these things that weren't influential books, but they're the enemy of my pack weight. Books weigh 2 pounds each, roughly. And I can never pass one of these things without looking inside of it. And if there's a good book inside of it, I can never leave without the good book. Well, there's not much for camping options, but Dottie cleared out all those sticks and built the tent right there. And she had snacks for dinner.
Yeah.
And I had chili mac. And now we're gonna call it a night. We've got some miles to do to get into town tomorrow, and we've worked out a place to stay, and we're gonna try and walk there too. But if we can't go the whole way, then we're gonna have to ask the guy to pick us up. But maybe if it works out, I'd like to walk the whole way. Well, we started the day in the woods where we did a little bit of trespassing last night to camp. And then the trail just popped right out onto a cul-de-sac right there in Anacortes, where we went to the Safeway, did some shopping for our resupply, only 2 days of food to get us to Alger. And I went to the post office to ship off all my snow gear to my dad back in Michigan, because I'm not gonna need it from here going forward. And then we hiked back out on a bike path and roads and roads and more roads, and then it was briefly interrupted by a trail on the mud flats, and then we diverted to a railroad track so we wouldn't have to walk on the side of a loud, busy Highway 20. And we saw these other two walking there with these big signs on their backpacks, you know, for their social media or their website or something. You know, I waved at them, but there was so much traffic I couldn't cross the road to introduce myself, so we kept going our separate ways. I stopped back in Whitney at a gas station, and then I got a coffee and edited this week's video, which should be out by now. Dottie moved on while I was doing all that. So right now, I'm walking as fast as I can to catch up with her so that she and I get to where we're staying tonight at around the same time, hopefully, but she's got a big lead on me. So we'll see. Well, I started eating too fast because I was really hungry, but this part of my plate was full of food when I started, because Dottie cooked me a wonderful dinner in this barn, Mark's way cool barn, that we found through the last trail angel that we stayed with. Put us in touch with this guy, gave us his phone number and address, and then he's right off the trail. And then we rocked up here about an hour and a half ago. He set us up. Really cool dude. Really been all over the world. Got some great stories. You know, loves to hear our stories too. And we're here for the night. Another night of showers, bed, food. I really don't know what we're gonna do when we get out in the wilderness, because we've been staying with people this whole time. Doesn't really seem like a through hike unless you know, roughing it. But we're not roughing it at all. I'm walking through Edison right now, and this lady, the baker, stopped me and gave me a triangular piece of bread. How nice. So there's meat and leaves inside of the triangle. If anyone knows what this is called, let me know. I'd like to have another one.
I left at midday so I could get a head start, thinking that he would catch up, but he got caught up doing lots of work. So yeah, we'll see him tonight, but it's been, a new thing for this trip. All the people, so it's pretty nice, changing it up a bit, being in the woods again rather than being on the road, which we have been for the past few days. And yeah, gives the feet and the legs a bit of a break, makes it a bit easier walking.
I'm starting to get golden light coming through the trees, so I know it's going to be sunset soon. And I'm still a long ways off from catching up with Dottie and the lady that we're staying with tonight, so I'm really hustling. I've been hustling since I started, but I got a really late start because I was editing that video and taking care of some stuff for my site. And the only break I took was to stop and scoop water out of Lily Lake so I'd have something to drink. And I really don't plan on taking any more stops unless I scoop another liter of water. I came up the road, followed some farmland until a trailhead, and then up these switchbacks and to an overlook, which might be one of my last views of the Pacific ocean. And I'm grateful for the time I was along the shore, but I'm not sad to see it go, because it means that I'm finally starting to get inland a little bit. And I mean, according to the map, I've got a long way of inland to do. So the sooner I could say goodbye to the coast, you know, the sooner I can accept the next challenge and move forward with it. I came down this side of the hill and I've been trucking through this side of the forest. And then right now I'm on a state forest road that winds to another trail and then takes me up to Alger, where I'm stopping for the night. Dottie is catching a ride out in 4 days, and it was 2 days from Mama Walker's to Lyman, but it's 4 days from Concrete to Lyman. So we skipped forward to Concrete, did the road walk around the closure, and then now we're walking west to Lyman. Mama Walker graciously offered to pick Dottie up and take her to the shuttle that's going to take her to the airport. So we're walking west right now instead of east, and it's been pretty uneventful for a road walk until we started having the kind of encounters we usually don't. The first was with a police officer who I'm like, oh, here we go, because last time I was on a trip and the police came, Mowgli and I had waded out of the mud of the river and hitchhiked 9 miles into a doctor's office so I could get a physical for my commercial driver's license. We got to the doctor's office like 30 minutes before they opened, and I was washing the Mississippi River mud off of my legs because it was up to my thighs. And the doctor rolled up to the office and called the sheriff on us, and he came out to investigate why 2 homeless people were bathing themselves outside of the doctor's office. And then that same lady gave me a exam and just pretended the whole time like she hadn't just called the police on me. And then this encounter was way different. He was really nice. I didn't feel like he was angling to get some kind of information out of us. He just he wanted us to know that this area is within his patrol and we can call him if anything goes wrong, and he gave me a business card. And then someone else stopped their U-Haul rental and flagged us down and was like, hey, you guys want to ride? I'm like, nah, we're all set, we're gonna walk. And then we keep walking, and he's like, hey, come back here, I need some help. And he had gotten his U-Haul stuck, and every time he tried to pull out, it slid a little further into the ditch. And then, oh look, there's a bear. Anyway, we tried to help him push, but then someone else came with a truck, tried to drag his thing out, dragged it out onto the road, and the wheels were all seized up. And it turned out the reason he couldn't get out is because his parking brake was on. We left after that. It's not like there was much more we could do. And now, around here somewhere is a campsite where I should be catching up with Dottie and staying the night. Saw a bear last night, and I broke out the bear spray that Mark, the guy with the barn, gave to me. And we also took great care to hang all our food from a high branch, and then it stormed all night. So our food got nice and wet, but most of it's in packages anyway, so we were able to work with it. We walked the rest of the forest road to a trailhead with a couple cars passing us going up, and then once we got there, the parking lot was fairly gathered up with people all getting ready to start an ascent of Baker We were just hiking, and we did not realize how much snow there'd be. I mean, obviously there's going to be some snow at elevation, but we were crossing some pretty decent sized snowfields to get over the top of Baker Pass. Now, we're not going over the big mountain, Baker Mountain, where all the mountaineers are going right now, but we had to get up to high elevation to get over the terrain, and now we're coming back down. But there was a lot of snow. It is melting fairly quick, but it's the same story as before. You get wet feet and all that, and there's really not enough steep terrain, ice, or snowfields to justify having the snow gear. And besides, we already mailed it. I mailed it home, and Dottie here left it with Mama Walker to pick up on our way back out. We still have quite a bit more snow to cross before we're going to be on dry ground to camp out here in the Baker Wilderness. None of this is solid. It's all hollow underneath. And I'm not trying to become a statistic on this thing. These are the winter trail markers that illustrate just how high the snow really gets out here. It was indeed a long climb down, and a lot more of it was under snow than I had anticipated. Maybe a little more than 5 miles of it. So it was wet. It's been raining on and off all day, but we are on dry ground now, and I was very proud to get a roaring fire started to dry out all our clothes, which is not an easy thing to do in the Pacific Northwest, where rain is your steady companion and the wood is quite absorbent of all the rain. I'm soaked. It's been like this all day. Right now we're going through a particularly bad patch of bushwhacking, but all day we've been kind of trudging through all these plants that are overgrown on the trail. And because of the rain, it soaks through all your clothes, soaks your shoes, soaks your socks. We had a few creek crossings to do. One of them we had to ford by, I left my shoes on because there's less of a risk of slipping on a rock. And they were already soaked from walking through all these plants, but you can see everything here. All the plants are soaked. It's one of those days where we get to appreciate the sunshine that we had for the first 2 weeks of the trip, and we haven't had for the last couple days, like on and off rain, and then obviously stomping through the bush and getting wet on all the overgrowth there. But the sky is just overcast, and it reminds me of where I grew up in Michigan, where, you know, adults would tell me that, oh, the sky's blue and grass is green. And I remember one time I was coloring a page. I was doing a page of coloring, and I stopped when I picked up the blue crayon, and I went outside, and I looked up in the sky, and I couldn't see a spot of blue anywhere. And I couldn't ever remember seeing a blue sky because it was always gray. So I went back and I colored the sky gray, and I thought everyone was just making it up that the sky was blue. This string, which I'm not overly a fan of anyway, I was using to hang the bear bag for tonight, and the stick that I tied it off to give it weight to throw it over a branch got caught on the branch, and I had to pull it till it snapped. But instead of snapping at the point where it got caught, it snapped in half, and now the string's not long enough to hang a bear bag. So I'm going to have to pick up some tomorrow in town. I'm going to get something a little bit thicker that has a little bit of a heavier load limit, and it's not so sharp on my hands when I'm trying to hoist it up. So maybe it's for the best that it broke, because if it didn't, I probably wouldn't have replaced it. We found something that looks like neutral ground, where it's neither owned or part of the road, kind of on the edge of the road. And it has a beautiful overview of the valley, foggy as it is, and a little creek running over there. So I think this is home sweet home for the night. We're not roughing it, not even close. A trip like this wouldn't even be possible without all the people supporting us along the way, and there's been a lot of them. Just look at this video, and 4 of the 7 nights I featured here, we were staying with somebody in their home. I mean, I couldn't be more grateful for the reception we've had out here. Not only for the people hosting us and opening up their homes to us, but for you, for watching all the way to the end and carrying your interest in my story.